British Prime Minister Theresa May will make a last-ditch effort on Monday to convince rebel MPs to back her Brexit divorce deal, warning them that Britain's exit from the EU is now in peril from politicians seeking to thwart it. Mrs May will also set out new assurances from the EU that it does not aim to sever Northern Ireland from the rest of Britain under the deal's most contentious term, the backstop, requiring EU rules in the north until a better free trade plan emerges. The future of the United Kingdom's March 29 exit from the EU is deeply uncertain, as Parliament is likely to vote down Mrs May's deal on Tuesday evening, opening up outcomes ranging from a disorderly divorce to reversing Brexit altogether. Facing the deepest crisis in British politics for at least half a century, Mrs May will use a speech in the Leave-supporting city of Stoke-on-Trent in central England to say that MPs blocking Brexit is now a more likely outcome than leaving without a deal. There are some in Westminster who would wish to delay or even stop Brexit and who will use every device available to them to do so, Mrs May will say in a speech to factory workers in the Leave-supporting city of Stoke-on-Trent in central England, according to advance extracts. Mrs May warned MPs on Sunday that failing to deliver Brexit would be catastrophic for democracy, and her ministers said that thwarting the outcome of the 2016 referendum could lead to rise in far-right populism. As part of the effort to get the deal approved by the British Parliament, the EU is due to set out some assurances in a choreographed exchange of letters on Monday, EU officials said. Brussels has repeatedly said, however, that the deal itself cannot be renegotiated. The EU letter will address the backstop. Both opponents and supporters of Brexit say the backstop would require Britain to obey EU rules indefinitely, long after it has given up say in shaping them. The EU has stressed that the backstop is not the EU's preferred solution to avoiding a hard border, that it does not undermine the Good Friday Agreement, nor is it part of any covert attempt by the EU to annex Northern Ireland. The UK will also deliver its own letter to the European Council and Commission. Mrs May will make a statement to Parliament at about 3:30 p.m, a government source said. But with Mrs May's deal facing opposition from all sides in the House of Commons, the letters are unlikely to change the fundamental outcome of the vote. If we are brave, we have nothing to fear, and I fear the consequences of no Brexit far more than I fear no deal, prominent Brexit campaigner Boris Johnson wrote in the Daily Telegraph. We must have the courage to vote down this lamentable deal and kill it off once and for all, with no deal Brexit the default option if May's deal is defeated. Some MPs are planning to pull control of Brexit from the government. The Sunday Times reported that rebel MPs were planning to wrest control of the legislative agenda away from Mrs May next week with a view to suspending or delaying Brexit, citing a senior government source. Though May is weakened, the executive has significant powers, especially during times of crisis, so it was unclear how Parliament would be able to take control of Brexit. If Mrs May's deal is defeated and the government is unable to have any amended version passed in the next 3 weeks, one suggestion is for senior politicians who chair parliamentary committees to come up with an alternative Brexit plan. We're in the very final stages of the endgame here, said Nick Bowles, one of the Conservative MPs behind the plan, who said he would vote for May's deal. What we need to do is find the solution, and if the government can't find the solution, and we want the government to find the solution, and we'll be voting for her solution, but if it can't, then Parliament needs to, he told BBC Radio. Reuters.